7-0 lead and then immediately gave the lead right back, or Seahawks even things out. But what's left to play for the Arizona Cardinals? Are they going to run starters back out there as the Rams seem to be taking care of business against the 49ers? We're going to get into that conversation. We're going to break down, maybe try to find some bright spots in that first half for the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to get into it. It's Bo Brock. It's Alex Clancy. It's the Locked On Cardinals. It's your halftime show.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Man, what a way to start for the Arizona Cardinals and then completely just not finish, I guess, the first half. It's Bo Brock, Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, and the Rams look like they're taking care of business against the 49ers. Well, 49ers kind of making a game of it. It's 17-10 now. I mean, now the Arizona Cardinals have to make a tough decision about what they want to do in the second half. They trailed the Seahawks, though, 17-10. Not a whole lot went well at the end of that second half. The team just pretty much was just like, okay, Kyler Murray's going to get sacked. We're going to just, we're going to close down shop and we're going to go to the halftime and we're going to try to figure things out here in the locker room. Alex, what were your takeaways from the first half?
It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing display of football.
Oh, come on, dude.
It was an embarrassing display of football. Aside from that one play on defense, Chandler Jones and the Seahawks, it's the Chandler Jones versus Tyler Lockett show for these two teams. The respective teams have nightmares about the other guy, where Tyler Lockett ran roughshod in the first half. They looked uninspired, like they had nothing to play for, and the Seahawks looked like they were playing for the 1 seed. Right. I mean, that's what we saw.
The Cardinals don't have anything to really play for. I know that the Niners are making.
What do you mean?
They're gonna play the Cowboys.
Then sit everybody. Everybody. If you're gonna play like that, just sit everybody and play the backups. They played uninspired football. And if the 49ers come back and win this game and the Cardinals lose, like that is, I mean, dude, how many more excuses are we gonna give this whole situation? They look like they're sleepwalking through the first half of a game where they could potentially win the division. That's what we saw.
You say, I mean, it's very the chances of winning the division are. It's not like it's within their grasp. The Rams would have to collapse, and the 49ers would have to win that football game. I mean, it's tough to. You don't get a hall pass for coming out and looking like they did in the first half. Seahawks are playing a little bit better football. We knew this going into this game. We knew they're playing a little bit better football than their record would indicate. But what do you mean when you say the situation? You talk about Cliff Kingsbury. If you look at your tweets, I mean, I don't know what you want from the guy. I don't know what we're going to expect from the second half. If you're frustrated with Cliff Kingsbury, they're going to completely shut down this playbook for the most part, not give anything more to the Dallas Cowboys to game plan of. I mean, it's going to be a very vanilla playbook going forward.
So it'll just be what we saw in the first half.
I knew that joke was coming.
Yeah. So the thing is, with the reason why I'm going a little bit deeper on Twitter in the first half than even more than normal is because if they played with any sort of emotion whatsoever on offense, anything at all, that's a completely different story. They're playing like this is a preseason game. And it's week 18. Don't you want momentum going into the playoffs? Like, it's surprising to me that this is what we're watching for the first 30 minutes of football. It surprises me.
I'm not that surprised by it. I mean, that's
a problem.
The problem is that you're just a Cliff hater, and that we're never going to get past that. You'll never give the guy credit, even though he's put this team in a position to contend for a division. But you won't even acknowledge that. The Arizona Cardinals, you talk about they didn't come out with passion. They get a strip sack on to open the game.
Third play of the game,
7-0, and then Tyler Lockett is taking care of business as a guy that just signed for the practice squad. I mean, look. Things had to go incredibly well for the Arizona Cardinals to win the NFC West. They had their opportunity. It was a couple weeks ago that the West was lost. It's not being lost today. Arizona Cardinals are actually going to be in a pretty good position going on the road, probably going to take on the Dallas Cowboys. should they march their first team out there in the second half? I think that's the conversation.
100% they should. San Francisco's within 7. Like, you'd rather play a home game. I don't know why this is.
I don't know
this
if
is a
that's
big
true
deal
anymore. I mean, this
oh
team's
my
struggling
goodness gracious!
at home.
This is such a
team
happy to be here emotional path that we're going. Yes, it is.
No, it's
the
not.
fact that you just glossed over. Well, they had their chances. They were up like 3 games in the division, and they lose to the Browns. They lose to the Rams. They lose to the Colts. Like,
they lose to the Browns.
I mean, sorry, the Lions. Even worse. And we're still like, well, you know what? Happy to be here. They're going to back into the playoffs and maybe get embarrassed in Dallas.
Who said they're happy to be here? Once again, look, don't put words in my mouth. The Arizona Cardinals, look, it was an uninspired first half, no doubt about it. But to kind of just like completely be down on this team because of this game that may mean something and might not is I don't think that that's the way to gauge this contest. It's just not.
If the 49ers come back and win, and the Cardinals pack it in the second half, you think that's the right thing to do? Do you think they start Colt McCoy in the second half?
No, I think they do need to get some momentum with Kyler Murray is at the quarterback position. They need to figure something out as far as this offense is concerned. There was the one drive that looked good. It had over 10 plays. They didn't find the red zone, but they put up the 3 points from Matt Prater. This is a team that needs to get some sort of something going. I mean, just like even if it's a preseason game, it's you want to see that. You want to see the offense have success.
Yeah.
So
agreed. That's important, especially when that's supposed to be the focal point of this team. So we'll see what they do in the second half.
I'm not going to sit here and say like, hey, the sky is falling though. Like, I mean, it's a bad performance.
26 false starts leads the NFL. That's a stat that I saw. Christian Kirk, non-existent. Anybody named AJ Green, not named AJ Green, really hasn't shown.
Well, and AJ Green had the push off. He didn't need the push off. I mean,
that's true.
AJ Green, it seems to be a coin flip with whether or not he's going to make a play or whether or not he's going to make a mistake, whether it's in communication or whether it's I just don't understand. I just saw that I'm on Cliff's nuts all of a sudden. It's when I'm talking with Clancy,
it's a family show.
I have to defend the guy because the Cardinals have improved each and every year under the guy. And
that's a happy to be here mentality.
That's not a happy to be here mentality.
He doesn't elevate.
I don't know what to tell you.
He doesn't.
He's elevated every year he's played under him. Every year.
Because they've had Kyler Murray.
What are you talking about? Happy to be here. I mean, where the team won, you picked them to win 8 games. They've won 11. And here we are. I mean, the team's going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be playing against the Dallas Cowboys team that only beats up on bad teams.
Everything can shift in the second half back to some sort of normalcy after what we saw from Dallas. They sleptwalked through the first half in a half where we don't know. What if San Francisco was up 21-3 and they played like that? Like, you can't compare the two. They have a chance to win the division. They have to win. And then they need some help, but they can still win the division. And they sleptwalked through the first half after the first defensive touchdown.
The team does need to light a fire regardless. And if it's, Colt McCoy, if it's Kyler Murray, they do need to show signs of life in the second half. I don't want that to get lost over, this bickering back and forth here. I don't understand like why they go through a slump in 3 games. And then they get back on track, a big win over Dallas, and then we want to completely just brush that off because they had a bad half of football again. They do need to create some sort of offensive momentum, no doubt about it. The defense needs to create pressure on Russell Wilson in the second half because when you have Borders going up against Lockett, you need to figure out something. You have to get pressure on the quarterback, no doubt about it. That's what they have to do going forward. Cardinals down 17-10 against the Seahawks at halftime. You would probably be confused which team is the 11-5 team, though, after that first half performance.
Yeah. I mean, I'm being a little extra harsh today, but it's like, it's winning time. It's winning time. And they're not playing like they have anything to play for. That's all. That's all I meant.
As far as the Arizona Cardinals in the second half, what do you expect?
Hopefully a better performance in that. And I think they'll bounce back because then on top of it, they'll see that the other game is closer and maybe like they can still win the NFC West. So hopefully they'll have a little bit more giddy up on offense, and the defense can kind of shore up what they're dealing with. Obviously, there's been a lot of injuries. Everybody has a lot of injuries at this point. And yeah, the cornerback room is suspect at this point, especially when Chandler Jones is out in coverage against Tyler Lockett. That's not what you want. So hopefully Vance Joseph can adjust and put together a game plan for the second half to kind of keep Metcalf and Lockett under wraps.
I think what Russell Wilson's showing in this, at least he did in the first half, is a playmaking ability that was a lot better than what Dak Prescott put on display a week before. Like when things broke down, and last week Dak couldn't make a play. This week Russell Wilson is extending plays, and it's working out really well for the Seahawks team. So when you're seeing those guys, those overmatched corners, and they're trying to hold coverage on guys like Lockett, DK Metcalf, it's very tough to do. It's tough to do against any NFL receiver. So they're going to have to somehow get Russell Wilson to the ground. There was the success on the third play of the game, but outside of that, just no other sacks against Russell Wilson, who's been sacked 32 times before that. I mean, this is an offensive line for Seattle that's been bad. And then on the other side, like the offensive line for the Arizona Cardinals has been atrocious in this first half. So they're going to have to come out and play. Like Carlos Dunlap shouldn't look like he's not that caliber player that he's proving to be in one half of football.
True. The second half starting, so we will check you for our post-game snap reactions. Hopefully the Cardinals can pull out a W, and who knows? We're a half away from two different games from the Cardinals still potentially winning the NFC West.
Niners driving. Let's go Niners. Ugh, I feel sick. All right. Enjoy the second half for both of these games. We'll talk to you guys post-game. Later.